Hello, this is a little overview logistics video of a trip I did up in Alaska last year, no, 2 years ago now. It's 2016. I just want to cover a lot of basic questions that I'm getting on my YouTube comment section about how I did this, how I did that, situations like that I think would be useful. So I have a lot of unused footage from this trip. It was all done with a pretty simple camera and pretty simple editing software. Don't add a lot of music to it. Let you add your own music. And I'll jump right in here after some introductory scenes, and I'll explain a little bit more about what happened with on the trip and the videos. So the first thing I want to cover is logistics of getting to Alaska. I get a lot of questions. My focus was at Arrow there, Prince of Wales Island, down in the southwest corner of Alaska. It's quite a way from Maine, Alaska. So I come up from Bellingham, Washington to Ketchikan on a ferry, and that's the ferry right there. That's the Inside Passage. It is a great trip. I highly recommend it, even if you're not going up there to kayak. It's Alaska State Ferry, so it's reasonably priced. You just hang out, watch whales on the back deck all day. When you get to Alaska, you move around a lot of times by these small float planes, and it's fairly efficient but rather expensive. My method is to go kayak, and my point was to go from Ketchikan over to Morris Sound on Prince of Wales. That was the whole focus of the trip. So here I am launching in Ketchikan. I'm all loaded up. I've got enough gear to survive for 3 weeks in that boat right there. I've got a couple gallons of water. You see one of them, water on the back there. But I don't need much water, as it's available everywhere in Alaska. Just need to filter it to drink. So I'll explain a little bit more about the back deck, which is basically a PVC frame with some mesh. It holds a spare paddle, some other gear, and makes a good platform when I want to put an extra bag back there. And it doesn't get in the way of my paddle stroke.
Just outside of Ketchikan,
so right out of Alaska, right out of Ketchikan, I should say, across the channel. And you guys are from Ketchikan, you recognize that house.
A lot of breaking waves.
And right into the weather. It was really rainy on this trip. And here's some video. Just let it explain. I'm going to talk over some of my own narration here.
Another barrier island.
But if you watch the video series, you've basically seen a lot of raw footage that I just narrate along the way and put together, and sometimes that really makes sense to people, and other people get back and say, hey, I don't really understand this, or I couldn't hear you through the wind, and this didn't make sense to me, so I thought I'd put this together and explain a bit more. So I'm coming around the south end of Gravina Island here.
Well,
bad weather pinned me down for a couple days. I wanted to cross over to Prince of Wales, across the Dixon entrance, which is a very, very nasty piece of water. And a particular storm hit in late July, the year I did this, and it basically lived up to its reputation. So I spent a lot of time kicking back in little places like this in a dry suit and just watching it rain. Here's another little stream, a spot on the end of Gravina Island, and I'm hanging out, camping, just waiting for the weather to break.
Cedar logs. And the cedar bog back there where the tree is will keep me fairly
like I say,
dry.
Watch the full video. You get long monologues and explanations that might be a little too long and cumbersome for some people to watch all the way through. It's kind of a abbreviation of it, and to explain what I was trying to do with the whole trip. So at some point the weather breaks and I have to cross the Dixon entrance, which is a big crossing. I'd like to go straight across, but that's the actual route I ended up taking, which put me in the boat for about 11 hours that day. It was a long, very tough crossing. So, and just a shortened version of the crossing here is kind of leaving. You can see the weather is not too bad. It's probably blowing 12 to 15, maybe gusting to 15, blowing 12. It's kind of an angry sky still, unsettled atmosphere. And before I would get across to that island over there called Prince of Wales, the wind would pick up, I'd have rain sideways, and I'd have swells up to 7 to 8 feet, which was pretty marginal conditions.
I don't know what
I
it
didn't
is.
film in really marginal conditions, but getting to the other side,
See him.
I was able to film. And in the evening, that's the same day, believe it or not, it calmed down, glassy calm. I'm pretty exhausted, even though I had a couple days to sleep prior to this crossing. I'm pretty sick right here. Just battling with a summer flu or summer cold or something. So I sound pretty miserable.
But calm now.
And it gets late at night, and the thing in Alaska, you can't just pull in anywhere and go up a beach, because there's not a beach. You could go for miles and miles and there'd be nothing but cliffs and forest straight into the water, which you can't really land at with 400 pounds of gear and a kayak. So you need to keep searching. Sometimes you have to go quite a ways around until you find something that looks like a beach.
That's Miller Bay.
And yeah, long crossing, tough day. Gotta earn that one. But sun breaks, and the point of me being there was to kayak into these inlets and then hike up some of these streams, portaging the boat and the gear into some of these lakes. And this particular remote section of Prince of Wales has great areas to do this, and trying to figure it out as I go. So as you see, I have the back deck off there. I can break down the kayak to just the hull. I can transport the gear and the food, which I started out with about 50 pounds of food, and portage it in. I get up to these lakes and I can fish for trout, which is pretty tasty and a good size and fun fish to catch. But I also catch a lot of salmon, halibut, rockfish, that sort of stuff along the way, if you want to watch the full version. Great campsites up on these lakes, and occasionally I get a visitor from a float plane. But most of it's just solitude, perfect stuff. The other big question I get a lot in the comments is bears. How do you deal with bears? Weren't you scared? Blah blah blah. Yeah, I expected to see bears.
Oh, you don't look too friendly.
That guy doesn't like me, does he? So,
he's had enough of my company.
And I knew what to do with bears. I knew how to prepare for bears. I had spoken with a lot of Alaskans who live with bears, and I didn't go with a gun. People say, why wouldn't you have a gun for protection? Well, I'm not going to shoot a bear unless the bear is just about to kill me, so there's no point. Here's me in the middle of the night talking about a bear encounter. Watch the full episode following morning. There's where the bear was, in the campsite. So anyway, I don't have a big gun. I'm not going to point it at a bear just because he's in my campsite or being doing bear things and being a bear. So
here come the bears down to the river to feed at high tide.
What's the point of bringing a gun if you're not there to hunt and kill? And if you wanna learn what bear spray does to a bear, all you have to do is Google on your YouTube channel bear spray and kayak, and you're gonna get a great video of a woman right near this place, probably 100 miles from here, who sprays a bear in the face, and the bear turns around and decides to chew apart her kayak while she screams bloody murder at it. So it's pretty funny. I won't go into it, but definitely worth a look. It's got millions of hits. Yeah. This was probably
Mama Bear, do you see me?
most difficult situation I had to deal with. That little cubby there, he's coming at me, and he doesn't care.
Mama Bear, thank you. There we go.
He just keeps coming. Mama Bear is in the background.
I don't want to
She's
get Mama Bear.
Up in that tree. You can't really see her. She's grunting, rocking back and forth. I know
Mama just up there in the trees.
What she's saying. What she's saying to me. She's saying, "Get away from my cub. Get back." She's trying to bring her cub back to her, which kind of comes, but I move way upstream, good 100 yards, and I just have to get out of the way. Yeah, I'm armed with a fishing pole there, so
I don't want to be in between it. I want to be as far.
I have to leave my kayak. It's loaded with food. I just leave it there.
Downstream, so
You got to. You just have to leave. So when I get back, from a distance I could see that bear cub come and basically step over my kayak. Unfortunately, as things do, my battery in my camera died exactly at the wrong moment. I could have caught the mama bear coming out and swimming across the water, and
that way about
it would have
100
been
yards.
pretty nice, but I got a ton of bear footage, and really the footage that I have in these videos of bears walking around grabbing salmon is just a small fraction of the bear encounters, because I didn't carry a camera on my hip and be prepared at any moment to pull it up and start filming a bear. But yeah, bears absolutely everywhere, and all I can say is I know a lot of Alaskans, and I know a lot of people live around bears. They taught me how to live around bears, and respect them. You get away with it. And hey, I'm alive. Nobody died.
And no bears yet this morning.
So this particular camp kind of explains why there's so many bears. If you can see just to the left of that frame there, there's a game trail I'm kind of camped on. Shallow river I'm back into, and it's a run of giant chum salmon. These things get up to about 18, 19 pounds probably.
Got himself into a little bit of trouble.
They're big fish, they're powerful fish, and they make a great meal for a bear. So there's a lot of them up in there.
The holes aren't that deep. Maybe a foot,
the bears come for the salmon, I come for the salmon, we end up in the same spot.
Moving up in here.
That little tent I just showed you there, there's a game trail I said right there. It's pretty faint, but the bears would pad by my tent 3 feet away in the middle of the night, because they're nocturnal, I'm not. I go to sleep. I wake up, I hear a bear kind of padding by softly. That's fine. I kind of get used to it, believe it or not. This clip, yeah, probably want to get the most comments on. I saw this happen many times. I filmed it only once. So what's really cool is I'm going to play this clip again in slow motion at 25% speed, and I'm going to shut up so you can hear the background, every splash, and the crunch of the bone when he actually bites it in the head. He knows exactly where to bite it to break the spine, and you'll see the fish just lay into rigor mortis instantly. Just lay still. So it's odd, when you slow it down you can hear each splash. Listen. Did you hear it? And the fish is in a stiff posture. He's just broken the backbone with a single bite. And that's probably a 14-pound fish. Okay, the other big question I get is weather, dealing with heavy rainfall. And this is trip in July, August. It was done that way, so it's the warmest and driest period of the year. It was not the case. There was a freakish amount of moisture that summer, and I experienced about 2 feet of rain in 3 weeks. Matter of fact, I had originally
Forecast for
planned
tomorrow,
for
100% chance of rain.
When I got out there, I got pinned down by weather so much I had to extend it to 3 weeks. Just couldn't travel on some of the days, 60-knot winds.
So what's left in my tent?
This was particularly the worst storm. It rained 6 inches this day. Very, very bad conditions out on the ocean, gusting over 60 knots. No way it's survivable in a kayak. So I'm back in a lake. Problem is, this particular lake is very steep-sided. With this heavy rainfall, these huge waterfalls coming in from every direction, filling the lake at a rapid pace. I'm basically have to evacuate beach camping, and I just watch as these waterfalls fill the lake up over a period of days.
Here I am at this little cabin.
So luckily I found a hunter's cabin here.
It's kind of interesting.
On this lake, and it was
Log
saving
cabin.
grace.
I don't
mean,
know when
I
it
might
was
have
built.
survived up in the forest, kind of hiding up in a
It's
tree.
pretty rustic. It's
Would
pretty
have been
small.
a very difficult thing to do.
Of course,
for
no power.
3 days.
Rudimentary
but,
plumbing
this made
coming in
life
from
very
the
comfortable,
stream.
and I'm very thankful
A
for it.
little kettle stove here.
I was able to let myself in. Of course, there's no
little
locks.
pipe
Just
that I had
tied
to put
doors
together.
shut,
The
and
lighting's
you know,
going to be really
put
bad in
things
here.
together and be
There's a
able
bit
to
of a
use the
sink,
cabin
a bit of a window, looks
and
out
put
on
it
the
back
lake.
exactly how you found it.
All the
And,
logs are stuffed with
and
moss in between.
leave it
A lot
cleaner
of
than you
mice
found
living
it.
in here. Mice are pulling the log out.
But yeah, great place to sleep
Newspapers
out of
for
the weather.
kindling. I found one dated 2009,
I'll explain a
earlier
bit
than
about the
that.
cabin here.
1998, 1996, back to
Estimate is
1980.
probably
So
built about 30
people
to
aren't
40
using
years
this on a
ago.
regular basis at all.
No other
Looks like
information
somebody
inside
brought in all
the
this
cabin.
wood by plane or something. The ceiling is
I
all
was able
plywood
to
and the
string
floor
out
is
my
plywood.
tent, and all my gear was, of course, soaking
Everything
wet
else
by this
is
time.
local logs.
Started a little
doors of-
fire in the pot place
looks
stove.
like-
I was able to cook on that,
Looks
save
like it
some
was built
cooking
and brought
fuel,
in, but it's a
and
double
dry all my gear too.
one
So
buys.
yeah,
The porch is rotting
got
away
really
in
lucky,
spots.
really lucky with this
There's a
cabin.
lot of wood here. It's very dry. It's been here for
So
years.
as I'm this particular situation, I'm just watching it rain for 3 days and 2 nights. It rained pretty steady, pretty solid.
Weather report is
Yeah,
for
water's not an issue. I just
rains heavy at
gathered it
times
off
for
the
next
roof there.
36 hours. Unseasonable storm.
And
is what the weather reports say.
the one saving grace is I had a brand new
Storm
dry suit at the
continues.
time, Gore-Tex dry suit from Kokatap, my sponsor,
used to be a
and
beach.
that was fantastic. I hadn't expected
And it used
to
be
rain as
about
much,
20
and
feet of
actually
beach.
was up there the year before
Now
this
it's
with just a light dry top
about 6 feet from
and
going
some light
underneath the
summery
cabin.
clothes, and
and I'm sure
it didn't
it's
rain a couple hundredths of an
class
inch
3,
in the 2
class
weeks I
4
was kayaking up on the inside
whitewater
passage. So
nightmare by now.
I thought, wow, well, maybe I'm a little overkill bringing a dry suit and rain hat and all this stuff, and no, I was spot on. It was really bad. So you see there's the water coming up, the lake
supposed to
levels
be
coming
just
up
heavier
right underneath
today.
the cabin. That's why the cabin's built on stilts,
Yeah, it can stop.
and it continues to pour. Big waterfalls are spectacular. Some of these cliffs were hundreds and hundreds of feet high. Just raging rivers coming down. But the other issue is that this situation where I got caught flat-footed out there on this lake is that you portage up these little channels that are basically the riverbed going up into the lake from the ocean, and with all this water coming into the lake and the flow going up, the channel led back out to the ocean was class 3 whitewater, maybe class 2, but really high flow and very dangerous. I was reluctant to film it and risk my camera gear and everything else, so I kind of have video beforehand and video after, but I did take a big rock hit in the hull and took a big chunk out of the hull. I could go into how I reinforced the hull.
The
And
beach that was is
compare
gone.
that at kind of a whole different time. So kind of the last
You
look
see
at the
that
cabin.
behind me running crystal clear.
This scene here
A few little holes, a couple feet deep.
is me talking about the north end of this lake the first day I got
No
there.
fish. Absolutely no fish at all. Not even
And you
little
can see
guppies.
it's
even
a
little
beautiful little stream
nibblers.
coming across a meadow.
So this
You'll
lake
see
seems to contain a
sandbars.
lot of
You see how
sea run
shallow it is my point.
salmon.
You remember
Anyway,
those
lots of
trees in the background?
And
You're going to
nothing
see them in
else.
the next clip here.
I haven't given
after
it a
the
solid
rains have
effort
come
yet,
up.
but here's the north end of the
And
lake.
the lake level is up about 7 to 8
Completely
feet
underwater.
at this point.
Trees,
Those are the trees I was just talking about.
grass underneath me.
So it's a completely different story.
It's always soaked.
That's how
Probably
much
put in
change
an
it is
hour
from
and a
that
half of
situation
trolling
there.
today.
In just a matter of
Haven't even
a couple
seen it yet,
days.
so
Just pours in
keep
this
working it.
giant lake,
I might be
acts
able
as a
to do
reservoir, and
something.
then filters down through this
But
channel to the sea.
Just an absolutely gorgeous
That was
lake.
pretty exciting little
And
whitewater
real deep
run.
on the west end. I've measured
It's
120
fun to run
feet so
whitewater.
far.
It's kind of stressful when you're A, in a sea
I haven't
kayak,
even been out
and
to the
B,
center.
you have everything that your survival depends on in that little boat right there. So I was really fortunate People say worry about bears, worry about this. Weather and mistakes are the two biggest factors. If you go back to the beginning where I was on that beach in a tent, that beach is under me right now. That's 6-7 feet under me. So it's all gone. There's no place to land essentially around this lake, and I assume that's why somebody built that cabin at one point. So that's the canal I'm talking about. You gotta shoot through there to get down to the sea. Beyond that sight line, it drops pretty seriously. I say maybe in the class 2 range, mid class 2. So one last look at this cabin. That was my saving grace. All buttoned up. And I'm gonna take the opportunity to say goodbye to this lake and head down, and I've got to make a ferry in a couple days, so I'll push on. And I would have liked to cover a lot of stuff in this video, but I had a bunch of topics down on my list, and then I started going through my footage, editing all this stuff out, and I was like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm like, I can either do a couple topics really well here, or cover a lot of topics poorly. So I choose to just do a couple here and maybe do another video later. So future topics, camera gear and power, food and cooking, camping in general, fishing, and any other suggestions you guys can come up with in the box below. Final scene is heading back to Gravina Island, and like I said, I mentioned cooked out waterware, Warner paddles, best in the world, and Ram mounts. So remember to subscribe, and I'll get some more videos out like this pretty soon.